So as you saw, to study the Yoga Sutra, we have to become an adhikari, means we have to become responsible. We have to have the thirst, the hunger to find our freedom. Once that student goes on the path of yoga, through the Yoga Sutra methods, what happens is, the person goes through a deeper exploration of the mind. There's not much, Patanjali does not spend much time on the body. Understand? Yoga Sutra, it is mental exploration. Mental exploration. Yoga Sutra is primarily mental exploration. Mental exploration. And that is why one of the names of Yoga Sutra is also Raja Yoga. Raj, R-A-J-A, Raja Yoga. Raj means royal, not just king, but royal. Why royal? Because when you follow the methods of Yoga Sutra, your whole mind is under your control. Your mind can be regulated. Very important word. Some people don't like the word control. And when the mind can be regulated, you feel like the most important person in the world. You feel like the most powerful person in the world. You see, we are going through such strong process, all of us, we are going through strong process. And we realize, and so many have spoken to me, we realize that we know all this, but still the negative aspects of mind are still holding us. I know jealousy is not good, but still I feel jealous. I know anger is not good, but I spontaneously become angry. I know I should not be afraid, but I feel fear immediately when this person comes in front of me. What happens? Why is this happening? This is happening is because the mind is controlling you. You are not controlling or regulating the mind. The mind is regulating you. You have become the toy in the hands of the mind. It is not some esoteric wisdom that we are talking about. Some sutras in the Yoga Sutra are common sense. Satya, Ahimsa, and the yamas that he gives. Truth, not harming anybody. These are some things that we were taught in school, right? Don't harm, speak the truth. These are basic tenets of human life. But still, we are struggling. Imagine something that was taught to us in school, now we are learning again, just from a different source. Now we call it Patanjali Yoga Sutra. When we were in school, some annoying teacher was teaching us that. Right? Now we learn it as ancient wisdom. In the school, we did not want to hear anything from the teacher. It is basic knowledge that he is giving us. But trying out the basic knowledge is difficult. Like I said, simple, you just have to divert the attention inside and Lisa smirks. Simple. Yes, it is difficult. I said simple, but actually it is difficult. Years and years, lifetimes and lifetimes go in this. That is why, once you attain this power on the mind, once you can regulate the mind, you really feel like nothing can affect you. You go beyond the three sufferings. Dukkhatraya, gone about that. This is the reason why we say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Have you ever thought why we say Shanti 3 times and not 4 times or 2 times or 1 time? We never say Om Shanti, no. We say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Why 3 times? Because let there be peace in the 3 aspects of our life. Internal, external and the ones beyond our control. Adhyatmik, Adidaivik, Adibhautik. Let there be peace in all the 3 aspects which can give us suffering. That's why Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. It's not random that we say 3 times. It's not because it sounds good. And that's why, have you heard me translating it? Let there be peace within, let there be peace outside, let there be peace everywhere. So when you're chanting it, Om Shanti, when the first Shanti is being said, you have to keep your awareness inside. Om Shanti, Shanti. Second Shanti, give out blessings of peace to everybody around. And Shanti, this shoes. So make your awareness so broad that there is Shanti or peace everywhere. That's why we say Shanti 3 times. Somebody might ask you this, so don't remember that. Some curious yoga student will ask you, why 3 times, why not 4 times? That's why Raja Yoga. If some of you have got a breakthrough in last 10 years, or 10 days of this course, you feel, I'm coming out of this issue slowly, you will realize how much confidence that gives you. If somebody was suffering last 5-6 days and yesterday or day before, they got this little breakthrough and now they are feeling happy, the flavor of that happiness is different. It's literally liberating, expanding. I could finally stand in front of people and say my name and yet not feel guilty or shame. Wow, so liberating. Right? You feel like king for that moment. You feel like a queen, an empress. That's why Raja. And for this, for an adhikari who knows his right, who is thirsty of freedom and who knows his responsibility, needs to cultivate 2 things according to Patanjali. Abhyasa, Vairagya, Bhyam, Tat Nirodha. Means Patanjali says, if you want to attain freedom, if you want to attain independence, literally, you have to follow 2 most important things forever. Number 1, Abhyasa. Number 2, Vairagya. He says in verse number 12, chapter number 1, Abhyasa Vairagya Bhyam Tat Nirodha. In the mind, Nirodha means quieten. to make quiet or to gain control or to regulate. Once you can regulate the mind, you attain peace. To regulate the mind, you need to do two things. Abhyas means practice, 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 practice. Vairagya means detachment. Or, I have a better word for this. Non-attachment. So please understand this carefully. Keep your notebooks down and please understand this. Our process of self-transformation is a gradual, step-by-step process. You cannot stop in midway. It is a continuous process. You will have to begin somewhere or other later on where you have dropped. If you have come to a point in your spiritual self-exploration where you feel that, oh, I had enough, I have to stop now. Fine, stop. Why? Because you have to start again somewhere. After 10 years, 5 years, after 10 lifetimes, whenever. But you see, you are in the tunnel now. You are in the tunnel. Welcome to the tunnel. You can just sit there for some time, drink your water, look around, there is darkness. The only way out is through. Remember this. The only way out is through. Why? The tunnel is very narrow. You cannot turn. It's like a cat that gets stuck in a pipe. Welcome to the pipe. Welcome to Jurassic Park. That's the line, no, in Jurassic Park. Welcome to the yoga park. Only way out is through. You can stop, you can rest, drink water, pass time, get distracted, purposely get distracted. But you have to get out from through. That's why Patanjali says, practice, 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 keep practicing. And in Patanjali's context, it is more applicable because Patanjali is dealing with mind. Patanjali is not dealing with body. Patanjali is dealing with mind. And when somebody deals with mind, the whole life becomes practice. Every moment, the life is giving you challenging situations. Every moment. Every moment, the life is giving you stimulations. It happens. Just looking somewhere and suddenly you get, getting stimulated by that person. I don't know what happens, but I'm feeling angry. It happens, no? Sometimes you meet some stranger and just being next to that person makes you feel so angry for no reason. Or sometimes reading something pushes you back in the memory. Understand one law of life. Understand one law of life. Life will keep giving you stimulations unless and until you learn your lesson. Life will keep pushing your buttons unless and until you have learned your lesson. If you are angry because of something, today you will run away and not be angry. But again and again, life will bring you face to face with situations that will bring up the anger. Don't blame the person who is giving you experience. You see, why am I getting stimulated? I have to adjust internally. I have to adjust my mind. Why? External stimuluses will always be there. Unless and until you stay in life, internal stimuluses will always be there. There's a beautiful story of a monk who goes away in the cave and stays in the cave for 30 years of his life in silence. His splendor is so much that he starts generating disciples. He lives in a mountain, in a cave, but the villagers go to him, they give him food and this and that. He is really, really calm and quiet and very peaceful. After 30 years, some villagers come to him and they say, there is a village fair. Why don't you come? Bless us with your presence. You have been here in the cave for 30 years in silence. Come out of your sadhana now. So the Maharaji says, yes, 30 years, I feel good. I feel quiet. I will go. So Maharaji says, he's in silence now. I will come tomorrow morning. Come here to take me. So the villagers gather, and it's a big event, more than the festival. The big event is the Maharaj is going to come. So the Maharaj is all ready and ready to step out of his cave. And what happens is the Maharaj steps out, puts one foot out and steps on a small pebble. The pebble, the stone. He puts one foot, right foot on the stone, and the stone goes in his foot, and he says, "You bloody stone!" And he stands there, turns around, goes back in again. You see, 30 years of being quiet. One step, he is not even entered in the world. One step on the stone. The stone, the Maharaj, 30 years had given him so much spiritual maturity that he could turn back and go in the cave. All plans cancelled. I will not come out. Why? Not because of the stone. He did not say, who put the stone here? Remove the stone. And he did not go ahead. He had such, see, that is an adhikari. Responsibility, you see. He did not blame the stone, he took the responsibility. He says, I lost my balance. He is not even aware of the stone. He says, how can I lose my balance? I need more sadhana. Turn back, go, finish it. Probably that's why he came to the cave. Because he was so stimulated by the world, he said, probably I will go to the cave. And this is what happens, you see. Many people think, oh, life will be so good. I have so many friends who tell me, I want to come with you in the Himalayas, I want to live with you in the cave. I said, okay, but look, there's no water, we hardly have food. And spiders, insects, snakes, bats, you have to be really compatible with them. You have to share your space with them. You cannot say, oh, the bats are not giving me my space. You have to be ready when you sleep, when you wake up, suddenly one snake is next to you in your arms. Or some wild pig sleeping next to you, or things like that. It sounds very mystical. Oh, I want to live in a cave. If something has to give you stimulus, it will. That stone was there because the universe wanted that holy man to get a lesson. It was not a man, it was not even a conscious being. It is not like he crushed a ant or he crushed some spider who incidentally crawled in his path. It was a stone. The stone was there forever, I think. So that's why practice, and that's why never get demotivated. Because every little step, I told you in the morning, I spontaneously said, every tear is purifying you. Every rise in your body temperature because of sadhana is burning your ego. Every tear is purification. You know, when a bhakta, yesterday when we were exchanging in the night and sharing about grace and divine, so many were crying. What was that? It was purification. Somewhere we realized. Practice. And one incident can change your life.